And honestly, I think the Democratic Party represents a lot more of those broad-based ideals.
We need more people to get out into the community and get to know them, not just for election day, but through the whole year.
But I was so worried about what was going to happen in the election that I finally decided I had to do everything I could do.
I think politics needs to be, it's not right now, but it needs to be about the people finding a representative and then communicating with that representative to make sure that they do the people's will. But it's turned into the candidate advertising to the people and the people, hoping enough people will buy his message.
Something has to be done to make voting meaningful again. You vote, I vote because we grew up knowing it was important, and we're educated voters, and not everybody's like that. So how do we bridge that divide now, I think, is a key question.
Everybody has such a potential impact on our elections and on our political policies. And I don't think they realize it, but when we can get people engaged, the sky's the limit. We really can change government, we can change society, as long as people become aware and become active and engaged.
I believe in canvassing so much that I think that could be how we take back our country.
Canvassing is real, canvassing is live, and canvassing is stories. Canvassing is meeting face-to-face with the people you represent, face-to-face with your neighbors, your colleagues. As a matter of fact, back in 2004, I was doing a canvass, and I was on an elderly gentleman's front porch. His daughter lived across the street. She came over to see what thought I was from the health department and checking up on his Medicare. So she came. She called her sister who lived 3 doors down, and several people just came. It ended up being about 14 people on the front porch having this great dialogue, and then they invited me to stay for supper. So, it does. It's public, and it ended up just being a really neat neighborhood event.
This is a way that people can participate in democracy. I mean, you can always get together and spend a lot of money and put ads into newspapers or produce commercials, but a lot of people can't do that. But a lot of people can take a Saturday afternoon and go campaigning or go canvassing, go door to door about issues and candidates that they feel strongly about. When you're talking with someone face to face and they see how committed you are, how much you believe in what you're saying, and the fact that you're either supporting a candidate or supporting an issue, then it means so much more to them. You're their neighbor. You're not being paid. You took the time to come and talk to them about an issue. It must be important.
You got to get up and go out and meet the people and let them know what is going on. I think that's where the trust come in. I don't knock on doors just in November. I don't knock on doors just in October. I don't knock on doors just in May. I keep informing from November to November.
One of the things I always talk with people about is if you had kids and the only time you ever heard from them is if they wanted or needed money, you wouldn't feel too good. Imagine how your neighbors feel if the only time they ever hear from you is when you want their vote. That doesn't make them happy with you. It doesn't make them happy with the party or the organization you're representing. So why not maintain contact and find out what's of concern to them? That's just good community politics.
Canvassing is really personal. We're getting out, we're talking to people, helping people realize they're not the only ones who feel this way.
When people talk about what issues are important to them, it may not be any of the set issues that the local party thought was going to be important. And now all of a sudden we're getting a lot of feedback from the neighbors saying, no, this is the issue that's most important to us, and now we can address it. And when you're going to one door, it's like, that's funny that you mentioned that. Your neighbor right over there said that's a concern of theirs. Maybe we should get together and we should talk about this. We need to go out and we need to build democratic communities. And I don't just mean Democrat meaning Democratic Party. I mean Democrat as in democracy. If we can get people talking to each other more, we're going to get a much better and more effective government, because now together we're going to vote for what's important to all of us.
If you're going out to canvass, first of all, respect the neighborhood and the community that you're going into. Some of the etiquette that I use, first of all, the way I stand, you need to step away from the door. Because if you're up on somebody, you're infringing on their territory. Good afternoon, Miss Atkins. Oh, not only knocking on the door. When you're talking to that individual, you need to be back enough. See you again. Good seeing you. I introduce myself. Everybody, as I say, they know me by name, but might not see me by face. And I make it a kind of comfortable type situation between the both of them. I tell them the reason why I'm out here. And you got to speak clearly. I cannot understand a person going up doing a canvass with bubble gum in their mouth, or chewing tobacco, or anything like that. And I go a little bit further. I think if you're a smoker, that's one day you should give it up. And will you be going out to vote in the November election?
Quite naturally, and every other vote, I'll be there. I'll step.
And I think the eye contact with the individual. You cannot inform someone and turn your head away from them.
So we know that when they do vote, that it is voting to help us.
Okay. You got to listen to them. You cannot go in and just start blabbing right away. You want to hear what they got to say first. But if you go in with your you're doing all the talking, then yes, they're going to put the armor on and be ready to fire against you. So yes, it's got to be a two-way street.
And I'm with the Democratic Party. We're out getting to know some neighbors and finding out what kind of issues are important to them. I'm curious, if you could talk with our elected representatives, what would you want to tell them? I like that question because it brings down people's defenses. It also engages them in thinking more about politics, because often people are caught off guard and they can't just spit out something that's an issue of concern to them.
And it also called for, when you're canvassing, it's a numbers game. And you don't stand there and argue with people. If they tell you, or at least this is how I was taught, if they really oppose what you're saying, you thank them for their time and move on. Because the more people that you can talk to, the more people you're going to get that will actually do something that you want them to do.
Janice pointed out that you don't want to argue with people, but you are going to have to deal with misinformation. What's your process for that?
The first thing you do is find something in their opinion with which you do agree. The second thing is state your case. And the third thing is request an action from that person that will perhaps help them see a different side of things. Requesting an action gives the person something to do that will cement the alternative viewpoint you just suggested. You're not confronting them. You're not denigrating their opinion. You are instead saying, okay, I see your point. I'd like for you to see mine.
What happens if somebody raises an issue and you don't know the answer to it? What should you do?
Honesty. Absolutely. Say, that's a really good question. No one's brought that issue to me before, and I don't have a good answer for you. However, I would really like to have someone call you or send you some information. But if you say that, it is imperative that you follow through. I'm Laura Owensby, and I'm canvassing for the Democratic Party today.
And that's the main thing, is that if you show your face and carry yourself in a way you be respected, people will respect you when you come out. Ms. Ramsey, how you doing today? Okay. I see you planting out those flowers.
When you talk about maintaining an individual relationship with a voter, that's a daunting task, isn't it? I mean,
Well, if you're the only one in your precinct, the first thing you should do is try to go out and find some more volunteers to help you.
It's better to ask them to be part of your team than it is to ask them if they would like to be a volunteer, because it just has better connotations. Hi. I'm Janice, and I'm with NC.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, too. If you can tell that they're just really enthusiastic about the candidate or the topic or whatever it may be that you're canvassing about, chances are that they would like to do more to ensure the success of whatever goal that is. Sometimes the really quiet people that aren't real overtly enthusiastic, but if you can see that they're really interested in what you have to say, then that's a pretty good cue that you might want to ask them if they'd like to be on your team, and just explain that you've got all kinds of things that they could do to help.
Canvassing is not hard. It's a little, it'll make you a little bit anxious, but it's not that hard.
So you've got to get over your fear of rejection because it's going to happen a lot. But so what? You just got to keep going till you get to those yeses. And those yeses make it all worthwhile.
I understand that people are nervous. It's something they haven't done before. But it's very easy to just practice.
I usually just find somebody who's willing to listen to me a few times, say my spiel, so that I can get used to saying it.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Seemed like that guy's really good for
I think that before you go to Canvas, you need a general understanding of the basic big issues, pros and cons, so that you can converse articulately.
So what we're asking people to do is to call your representative and your senator, which I believe in your case is...
You have to be informed about what is going on around you, what is going on in the party. And not only that, I found out something else. You need to know who your local and state, some of your state elected officials are.
Get some good exercise.
I need my personality hat.
When you get ready to go out in canvas, how do you make yourself comfortable?
First, I have my little backpack. I have this. Then I put my water in it. I make sure I have some water. And I also take me a little bottle to kind of energize me, because when you're talking to people, that's going to drain you a little bit. And you know the best thing to keep you going, a peppermint candy. And I tell you what, I go a little bit further. I make sure that I have a pamphlet about the Democratic Party and what they're doing, because they're going to ask. So most of all, you have to pack up and be ready for anything that might face you when you're out there canvassing.
Canvassing is no different than life. You shouldn't be afraid of it, but you should be smart about it. Pay attention to your surroundings, listen to your instincts, and use your common sense, and you'll be fine.
Look around at the house to get some hints. Are there toys in the yard? What can you find out about the people before you knock on their door? And I just saw this bumper sticker over here that says, "Worst president ever." And I had no idea that these neighbors were Democrats. So it was a great cue for me.
Have a buddy system. Don't ever canvass alone. And even if it's a small street, do opposite sides of the street. All right, you want to take that one? All right. Certain situations people should be aware of as they canvass: dogs, houses where you're not welcome, or anything that gives you a weird feeling. And so have cues with your buddy and know what to do if you feel uncomfortable. Always have your cell phone with you. Keep your health insurance card and your identification and maybe a couple of dollars in your pocket on your person.
My name is Jeff Marsace. You really don't want to enter somebody's house. And I mean, there are safety concerns there, but most of all, in certain types of canvassing, you just need to get there, get their commitment to vote or get their commitment to take an action, and then it's time for you to get on to the next house.
Keep it on the porch. It's very public. And that way, and you have a precedent. I never go in someone's house. People involved that can help and that can bring attention to it. Canvassing is an adventure, and be prepared for the unexpected. Be ready to be flexible and think on your feet. Go have fun. Canvassing is supposed to be fun.
And if you can get them to do what it is that you're trying to get accomplished, then you have just made the world a better place by doing something fun and meeting neat people.
We got to get more Democrats elected, not only in the local level, not only in the county level, not only in the state level, but in the federal level.
I think there's a lot of people like me who've gone from just kind of being on the sidelines to realizing that this is my country and my world and my life, and I have to show up and do something about it.
There's nothing more effective, there's nothing more personal you can do than to give up your time and go canvassing for an issue or a candidate that's important to you. Do it. Just go out and do it. You will change the world.